All right, mic check, mic check. To the friend, live soon. All right, cool. Yeah, a minute. Let's sort my fingers. Right. Good evening to all. Big up everyone in the place. I'm your host, Brother Raven. Let's find the PDF. I think I forgot it up there. Give me 17 seconds. Wait, I think they've changed the interface again, haven't they? I think they have. There's also studio instability issues, it says here. Interesting. Right, well, hopefully that doesn't affect our. They've definitely updated because I'm now seeing a vocal meter. That's cool. That's nice. I like that. A meter for your vocal levels. All right, let me see. Well, I'm now looking to open something live. So what have they changed this to now? Share screen. Try that one. Yep. All right, that's still the same. All right, looks good. Share. Okay. All right, finally. All right, so welcome everyone. This is the 251st show. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. How do you have to read? There we go. Read mode. There it is. So let's start as we always start. Big up, Nixie and brother Qatari and everyone else who's chipping in. Very, very important episode today, and anyone who's listening future times. Big up yourselves there. Okay, so we'll start as well. Start, and that is we have to talk about white supremacy, anti-black racism, and the Ma'afa. And those triple tragedies, of course, a double dilemma. And that is, we are despised and we're disorganized. And that's important to understand that because today's lesson goes over how that dynamic plays out in the world and how we might do things that we can really review how we do just to get a better view, if you know what I mean. That's what I'm saying. All right, where are we doing now? Black Betterment is a lifestyle. Yes, so Black Betterment is a solution we promote, and that is a lifestyle of Black people continuously helping Black people. And that's what this entire show promotes. It promotes a lifestyle that educates and motivates and all the vates in the world to have brothers and sisters of the Black community come together to find solutions and work together. Sounds great. That's what the show's about. All right. We're gonna throw the link out. People can just jump in. It should be tagged at the moment. There's some guests who might come in who said they want to have one-to-ones. If they do, I'll have one-to-ones with them if they come. But if not, that's fine. But generally, if you do, just don't forget the rules of 4D values, which are discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Every time I'm debating or talking in public, I always say the 4D values, but I always forget one. Which one do I forget? There's discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Discipline, dedication, dignity. It must be dignity. It's very important. Sometimes I forget that. All right, cool. Let's do this. So let's find out more. And also, let's not forget, try not to use derogatory language if possible. Now, there's going to be some strong F-bombs dropped here and there on the videos you watch today because we're reviewing some public performers and this kind of stuff and haven't edited them out. So just prepare yourself to hear some kind of late night language. Right, so here's the two topics. Two topics are Black people and Israel-Palestinian conflict. We discuss how best Black people can support or not support the Israeli-Palestine conflict. And then Black tech industry promotion. We discuss ways to increase the number of Black tech people in the tech industry. So we'll start in reverse because I think the first one is a very very touchy kind of topic, a very shocking one we're going to approach, a very important one. And it's really hard to approach that because it's a horrible scenario that's going on in Israel-Palestine area. And and then there's been some issues with some band members saying, and there's always been issues here and there with the whole conflict and what people can and can't say. But we're going to kind of review that, the history, some of the history of what's going on and also, how Black people might best navigate through that world. So we'll do that second, but first we'll do the tech one. But before I forget as well, maybe next week I was kind of watching that Puff Daddy thing, and he got the verdict back. I'd be interested to unpack that as well at some point, because apparently he's not guilty. I'm sure he's done a whole lot of terrible things, but you do wonder why they brought that up against him. They seemed that the case wasn't going to get anywhere. I don't know. So that's something we might unpack at some point as well. but not this week. So anyway, yeah, what we're dealing with. Let's go. We're gonna start with tech industry first, and then we'll go into the the confident stuff. Where are we? Video. So we'll start with tech. Well, so what are we talking about tech? So with the tech industry, I mean, it's just a quick thing, really. Yeah, it's something that we should be doing continuously. It's just like the importance of trying to get black people into tech. I think it's obviously a very important industry. It's something that I think you get your hands on it, you can actually really direct where the world's going and make your community have an easier life and all that good stuff. And also, it's a good thing to learn that can actually open doors to other things. So maybe a campaign of trying to get the younger generation into tech. Well, let's look at some tech stuff just to get us in the mood. So what have I got? I downloaded some tons of videos, mate. I mean, oh gosh, where is it? Let's see what we can start with. We're gonna skip the Black Betterment intro as we normally do. Let's go straight to tech because it might be a long show today. It might not be. I don't know. Number 2, it's called Black. No, what? Oh, hold on. What have I talked? Oh, okay, whatever. What's this?
Today on.
What should we look at? Listen to.
In Atlanta,
Listen to American. This is a quick thing about tech in America, and then we'll jump to England as well.
Atlanta, one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Tech startups are helping to fuel the boom.
I mean, immediately.
Tristan Walker's business is part of it. Walker and Company makes health and beauty products for people of color.
Best shaving tools.
Bevel is one of their most popular brands. A year ago, Tristan relocated his company here from Silicon Valley, a radical move for a guy who grew up in Queens, New York. You never saw yourself settling in the South?
No.
Like so many other African Americans, the South was just a place to visit.
Good to see a brother who's in tech, got a nice black family, children, good stuff. It's good imagery there.
Visit relatives who stayed behind.
My family, my mom, grandmother, from small town Aliceville, Alabama.
A rural town in the deepest part of the Deep South.
This is where you would see your grandparents. Aliceville, Alabama.
Searching for a better and safer place to live away from the violence and the Jim Crow laws that defined the South, Tristan's family was part of the Great Migration.
It's actually one of the biggest migration patterns that this country has ever witnessed.
Nearly 100 years ago, about 9 in 10 African Americans lived in the South, mostly in rural areas. But soon after the start of the 1900s, things started to change. Between 1915 and 19...
Are you aware of the Boule? Yep. Are you talking about in general the Boule or a particular brand of Boule? It's called the Boule Society. Yep, we're aware. I think we covered it a few months. This to Nixie, I think it is.
70, about 6 million black people left states like Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, moving to northern states including New York, Illinois, and Michigan. For many, it was their entry into the middle class. Jessica Lynn Stewart is an assistant professor of African American Studies at Emory University.
You could get a good factory job, right? Fresh out of high school, a black man, you don't have to go to college. You can get a job at a steel mill and make a good, decent living, right? And support your family. And that's why, again, we talk a lot about deindustrialization, the loss of manufacturing jobs. And we think about that in terms of the white working class voter. We don't always realize that that devastated whole black communities all across the Rust Belt as well.
Crime, broken neighborhoods, and failing schools in the North have sparked a new search. Today, experts say, the nation is witnessing the Great Migration in reverse. Blacks returning to cities across the South.
So why are we? That's great. So why are we looking at this? Must factor in sellouts who are the Boule. Yeah. So we're talking about getting people into tech. We're looking at black people in tech. But if you've got something you want to say, by all means you can. Hold on. There you go. So can we listen?
Particularly North Carolina, Florida, Texas, and Georgia.
Did the civil rights movement have anything to do with creating what some people call the New South?
Absolutely. I think this...
Oh, brother, is that brother Match Fit? Is that you? Is that H? No, it's H. Who's H? Sorry, is that... I think we got is that who's H?
Yeah, that's me, bro.
Is that Fit? Yeah, sorry, yeah, he's changed name. Yeah, welcome, brother. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, but so everyone, this is Brother Match Fit. we're doing with two topics today, brother. Is black people in tech as well as the Palestine and Israel conflict. But we invited the brother over because a few people requested that they like the way brother was speaking a few weeks back, but they prefer to have him be more on the one-to-one basis, just to pick his mind more. So the brother says, that was good to see him. So let's carry on listening. But anything you want to say, brother, you can pause and say things you want to do.
Being kind of the heart of the civil rights movement, you have that legacy here.
How does this space compare to Silicon Valley?
Well, first, it's a home.
Today, Tristan has set up open workspace for his company that merged with Procter & Gamble in 2018 for an undisclosed amount.
Correct. We try and create as close to a family environment as we can here.
Part of that means being inclusive.
Ever since I started this company, I wanted the diversity of my company to reflect.
There's a chat going on in the group about the Boule. We'll cover the Boule and we'll get people's opinion about that in a bit. It'll be a good discussion to have. But right now we're looking at motivational concepts of getting black people in tech, regardless if they're rich, poor, Boule, or woke, or any kind of division of life of the black community.
Like the diversity of the consumers we serve. So I have to be where that diversity is. I can't tell you how many times I had wonderful candidates who we could have hired who didn't want to move to Palo Alto, California.
Unlike Silicon Valley, where blacks are just a small fraction of the tech industry, Atlanta's climate and culture has attracted young black tech professionals to
This is what I had to see, a room for the black people discussing tech.
the city, hiking their numbers here into the double digits. When Nicole Chandler heard about Tristan's company, she wanted in.
We're prioritizing the needs of black men and black women, and I've never been the priority. So, and then I wasn't the only in the room either. So there was just levels of like goosebumps and excitement, and I could have cried about it, but.
Okay, friends, how y'all doing?
Ryan Wilson and his business partner, TK Peterson, created a way for this growing black professional community to connect. Their solution, The Gathering Spot, a private membership club that fosters business relationships.
You have my number still, right? Yeah. The main thing that we're focused on is trying to make sure people know each other better. In a world that's increasingly digital and where we focus on digital connections, what the Gathering Spot stands for is doing a little bit of that, but doing more of the old school, in-person, actually relationship building.
I grew up in Chicago, which is one of the most segregated cities in the country. So I want to be a part of the movement that says this is the place for black entrepreneurs to be, thrive, and support each other.
Are you walking now?
Now a married father of 2 young boys, Tristan is back in the South, where his family started generations ago.
I think there should be more places like Atlanta. The cost of living is wonderful. You think about the kind of difference between where I was coming from in the Bay Area to Atlanta. I can live now, right? And I mean live and afford to live. And that opens up opportunity for us to seek opportunity, right? That we might not have sought otherwise.
A reverse migration offering new hope to a new generation. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, Atlanta.
All right, so let's look at one example there from America. Just for those tuning in, we're looking at black tech. We're discussing black tech industry promotion. We discuss ways to increase the number of black people in the tech industry. Let's look at some video from some news few that came out. Let's look at one more. Where is it? Let's look at, I think a UK one. I think I've got somewhere. Jamaica, Forbes, not that one. I've got loads of videos. I've got loads. And it's a good thing I tried to make an attempt at labeling them. My goodness, I think I'm Tech USA. We should have one UK one, though, right? I think this is UK. Let's see what this purpose is.
Black people in technology between 2009 and 2019, 0.024% of venture capitalists invested into black companies. That's less than 38 companies in a 10-year period.
Yeah, it's quite short on that one. But yeah, so the brother saying that there's a bit of an issue in the UK. And then we'll have one more and then we'll start talking to Brother Match. He can go where he wants in topic-wise. It's just, we could jump to the next topic. Let me get one more. What's that one? That lady one. I think this is it. What is she?
Around 5 to 7% of the company. White dudes, Southeast Asian dudes, women and Asian women. That's who's at the top right now. Black, Latinx, indigenous folks, we're at the very bottom of it. So the representation is low. The numbers are quite dismal, but we're fixing that. I mean, our last cohort alone, we had 70% of the class was POC, 26% of that class was Black African American, and every cohort, we are getting intentionally more Black. We are trying to speak directly to Black women, Black gender expansive folks. That is who we are calling to when we want people to come, because if we speak directly to those people, everyone else will still come to the party.
All right, cool. Just getting there. So welcome, Brother Match Fit, to the show. It's good to have you back. Let me get rid of this.
Yes.
Any interest or any connection there with Black tech, and it's something that you that's crossed your radar? Not really, at all.
I don't know how to classify the concept. Black tech. What do you mean? Black people's relationship to tech, or tech?
So I get
Black people.
I guess, yeah. So I guess more Black people getting into the technology field, understanding technology more, creating economics around technology. Our children, understanding more technology-based stuff, whether it's programming, hardware building, or anything to do with tech or within tech management or something.
Yeah, I mean, my view is kind of simple, I suppose. It's like on that stuff, it's like everything else.
Yeah.
It's like all things. If we don't get involved in this technology or whatever new innovation is about, whatever new opportunity arises, if we don't get into that with the correct mindset, it doesn't change anything. If we're talking about changing things for us as a people, whatever the tool is, if we don't have the right mindset on what the purpose of us using this tool is, then it's not going to do nothing. It's like Umar's always talking about hip hop has done nothing for Black people. He's been saying that recently, and he's right. If you understand what he means, a whole bunch of Black people will say, "No, we've created a whole industry. Enough of us are making money. It gives opportunity." But these times, our situation in the West, in the areas where all this money generated, hasn't really changed. So that's what Umar's saying. This tool, this music that we're so influential in, hasn't really led to us as a group getting into a better situation. But it has led to all this success and all these millionaires and all of these things. So what is the goal? If you're just talking about individuals being millionaires, then just telling them get into tech, yeah, of course, it's a good idea. Everything's going technological. If you're talking about us as a people, better in our position, if we don't get into tech with that in mind, it's not going to help.
Well, I'm glad you said that. So one of the things that we do with Black Women here is there's always a purpose behind something. So we understand that it's mindset before the people, in the sense of ideology before the individual. So it's like the idea is to teach that kind of way of thinking of Black first and fix Black issues. And when you do that, and then you give direction, the hope is that when you start growing in certain fields, it helps grow even more, because the person who's learning this particular new whatever it might be has Black betterment in the back of their mind. So they know they're not just going to try to get rich to go and leave, or try to learn, make industry just to go and leave or elsewhere. They have their community betterment placed within their lifestyle. So I to correlate that with Brother Umar, I think he would think just on the same. It's good to get Black people better and improving and doing great things, but if there's no ideology that connects them to the rest of the community, they can easily just be go and serve other communities or just not serve themselves. So that's how I would add to what you're saying, if not pretty much just mimic it.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically my thoughts on it. It's not, in and of itself, it isn't going to make us as a people any better off, but just in general advice, of course, it's something we should all be getting to grips with. AI and the chat GTPs of this world, it makes a lot of all the things that we're trying to do more efficient if we learn how to do them. There's going to be a whole bunch of new skill sets that are going to develop over as time goes, so we should all be invested in that, just on a personal level. It's a good idea, of course, and we should always be advancing other ways. But yeah, if you're talking about as a people, it's not really about the technology, it's about the culture.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think no matter what we do on this podcast, that's the stage one. The first thing is an ideology that makes Black people look within in all areas of activity. That's very, very important. So saying that, then you understand that now you're doing that. There's like we're on YouTube at the moment. It's a nice platform, but there's certain rules and regulations that might not correlate with what we want to do. Had there been an industry created by Black people, we could be on that platform, but building other Black people's wealth, and their rules might correlate more with what we're trying to do because they understand where we're coming from. It's almost like I think I was watching something about billionaires or millionaires, whether it was Black billionaires versus non-Black billionaires, and a lot of black billionaires became billionaires through partnerships. And what happened is if they behaved in a certain kind of way, their partnerships can just dissolve their money. And they look at people like Kanye West as this kind of example, maybe. But then there are other non-Black billionaires who it's their ownership. And because they have ownership, it's hard for people to take away their wealth because they own fully whatever stock they have or whatever it is, right? So I think that's the kind of mindset as well. Like, can Black people do things to own things in all areas? So creating your own tech industry, creating your own social network apps that correlate more with things you hold dear. Also, algorithms that are favorable to Black people and stuff like that. But once again, it starts with the mindset.
Yeah.
So family, we've got two topics today. We're joined by Brother Matchfit. It's his second time, I believe, maybe third time in the show. Back by request. And we've got two topics. One is Black tech industry promotion. We discuss ways to increase the number of Black people in the tech industry, and also Black people in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. We discuss how best Black people can support or not support the Israel-Palestinian conflict. We'll go there now because I suspect that's what people want to hear. Now, I say this, I'm going to try this as respectful as possible. I recommend when you're talking about some of these very, world conflict topics with innocent suffering and all the rest of it, you definitely want to, approach it, with sensibility and all this good stuff. And I would say, for those to update what we've come up, there's a UK band of two brothers called Bob Dylan. I think I heard of them a few years back. I saw one or two videos. I think they're like a punk rock kind of hip hop fusiony kind of band based, I think, in London, I would assume. And they're both called Bob Dylan, and they're both, I think, of Caribbean descent. I would assume. I think they're Caribbean descent. I want to say that. They're on in Glastonbury, some big show that happens once a year or something. And I think that they ran on stage and they shouted some words towards the Israeli Defense Force or something, as well as the Israel in general and some other stuff. And I'll play the video just to catch up so we can catch up. And there's been getting some kickback, but it just triggered me to say, okay, well, let's see what's happening here, and have we done a show on this to see how best maybe Black people can approach this particular angle. Let's see if I can find some of this stuff. Okay, hold on. No. Wait, I've got so many videos. I think it's down here. Bob Dylan. Yeah, it must be this one. This one. Yeah. Let's say this. It's 11 megabytes, so it must be long. I forget there's any swearing or anything that comes in. It hasn't been edited. And there was one more of something about one more. So that's the band there. That's the I think right after the where is this thing, man? There we go. Share. I think there's still I've got one more of the thing they actually got them in. Not that. Come on, man. I've got too much things in this folder. There we go. It must be this one. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one. It must be this one. I think we're saying there. So this is the death one.
Free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
Yes, IDF is the Israeli Defense Force or something like that. So yeah, now we can start. So to Nixie, questions there released. The question was, I totally agree with what you say, but he must have known saying Bundy idea was going to go down well. And you said something else as well. You said, have you considered that Villain may have done this as a publicity stunt? I'm sure his sales have rocketed. Maybe not. Even regardless if we did it for stunt or he's sincere or it was the best thing, worst thing, it's more so a Black Betterment approach on the situation. It's the same thing I'm going to say now, and the guest can jump in if whenever he wants as well. But my thing is, unfortunately, one thing you have to stand is, from human to human, you want all innocents to be saved and spared, and it's always good to try to always live a goodwill. I would say one of the issues with black people in general, that from the just from observing the media, is that it seems that because of a history of pain, black people might try to lead the way in many other issues, non-black issues, worldwide and locally. And sometimes what happens, you have more of a we're never going to play pain Olympics or pain percentage, but there's also things going on in Sudan and Congo that seems to doesn't get covered really well, if at all, by the media. So it's always good if black arts can maybe take that up, black acts take that up. But also when it comes to supporting other people's groups and stuff, always wonder what other people from that land who are not in that land. So, for example, the Palestinian who might be in the celebrities, who might be in political, who might be around the world. Let them, for the most part, lead and give you the verbiage to what to follow. Because if you just go out, say def this and def that and bun this and all that kind of stuff, as sexy as it sounds, you could be penalized. And it's always a shame where black people are penalized more heavy for other people's issues. Meanwhile, black issues doesn't seem to get much attention, or if it does, the same people you're defending are not necessarily going to go full out as the same way. So that's also quite important. So that's a very important thing that there's a thing about. We're joined by Brother Kel as well, because Brother Kel is a very important contributor. We put him in. He's here with Brother Much Fit as well. We're here live.
Black Betterment, son, people. Black Betterment.
Black Betterment tool. Other people who's waiting back, you have to wait back because we just had some requests to keep the guests to a certain minimum for this topic for a bit, and then maybe later on we can jump in for other topics. Where are we? Okay, so yeah, so that's like a Black Betterment perspective. I'm going to show you also one other thing. This is one of the most popular people from Palestine.
I don't know.
Let's hear two things. So this is the most popular. I think this is the most popular person from Palestine.
How do you get involved politically in the Middle East?
I get involved with the peace. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, as I'm all about peace. I'm all about unity. I'm all about love, and I want my people, to always be good.
Here's what puzzles me. I've been to the West Bank.
Right.
I love the people there.
Yeah.
I'm Jewish. You're Palestinian.
Yes.
We're cousins.
Yeah.
We go back to
Yeah.
Isaac and Esau. We go back a long way. Why can't we get together?
I wish I had the answer, but I look at it in my eyes, I don't see why it's a problem, because I'm sitting here with you right now.
No problem.
Me and you have no problem.
None.
I respect you, you respect me, and that's how life should be. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more, out of our hands. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I come here. You got to promote peace. It needs more people like me to say, yo, let's come together. Let's do some things. Let's show people where we can come together. And I think we doing that by being here. I think people do that every day by doing business. I think, a lot in America, people come together. Why can't that happen over there?
Are you bitter about the hostility between the two?
I have to be bitter at anything that's going to hurt my people. You know what I'm saying? I would never want my people to be hurt. So at the same time, it's like, all I can do is pray every day for peace.
You think we'll ever have a two-state in existence?
I think so. And the reason why I think so, because I got to have faith. I got to have hope. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I am. So I'm going to be positive about it and pray every day that it's going to be love.
So that's the Palestinian's response. A lot of his own people are not best pleased. Oh, where's it? I'll get rid of it. There we go. They're not best pleased with it. There we go. I had a second one of his. Oh, come on. Hold on. Video. This new interface is. Come on, mate. There we go. DJ Khaled. Yeah, this one. This is some people speaking about him.
Many Palestinian artists in America, except for DJ Khaled, Palestinian.
Yeah,
there is a few. We'll show. There's quite a few Palestinian models and performers and stuff, comedians.
Palestinian. I know.
I've seen a lot about, I don't want to pick on the guy, but I know this has been a very difficult time for your community. Yeah. He's been getting a lot of backlash, and I don't know if you can shed any light on this. Is it? That's right.
He was born in Palestine, but...
So he's born in Palestine?
Yeah, he was born in Palestine. But man, to be honest with you, Beck, it breaks my heart.
So that's what the backlash is from the community?
Yes, that's what the backlash is. Yes.
That's crazy, man. So he is born there. We've all seen what the hell is happening over there. And he hasn't even said, I'm not even saying get political with it. Just say, can we have peace, or can we have it like something?
Nothing.
So he said nothing.
Nothing.
That's why.
Zero. Nothing. He is his own man. So I can't talk for him. I don't know what goes through his head, but God,
I don't know.
God forbid that God puts that in my heart and I become like this guy. God forbid. All I could say, he breaks my heart.
So I also downloaded, I haven't got the actual one. I also downloaded, where is it? Palestinians' responses to the whole Middle East conflict and this kind of stuff. But I also got one quick one I'll show. Just let's see if I can find it here. Let me see what I go for it. We'll go arrange by size because it should be quite big. Not that one. I think it's that one. Yeah. Yeah, so these are some of the
Hollywood celebrities who are Palestinian descent. Gigi Hadid. Gigi Hadid is an American model and television personality. She has appeared in many high-fashion brands and magazines.
That's Gigi Hadid. We'll skip over. See there. That's a model. She's got a famous down, I think, whatever.
Father was a Palestinian.
There you go. Let's skip all that. And then see what she says about the stuff.
In an Instagram post about the recent conflict between Hamas and Israel, she condemned the Israeli government's treatment of innocent Palestinians in Gaza. She also added that being pro-Palestinian does not mean being anti-Semitic or supporting Hamas.
So notice that, very, very, very calm, very that you've seen Khalid. This is another, well, this might be a sister, so I know that maybe I'll get the names wrong. Hold on, let's see this one.
Justin Bieber.
Blah, blah, blah.
Bella Hadid. Bella Hadid is a popular American
popular model. Let's see what she says. Let's skip to her views on Palestine and that.
Bella Hadid is proud of her Palestinian heritage and has expressed her support for the Palestinian people.
Right.
She even joined pro-Palestinian protests at various times and marched with the Palestinian flag. Rapper Belly.
I think he writes songs with The Weeknd, I think this guy. Let's see what he says. Okay.
And Drake. Belly has released his debut album. He is a social, health, and humanitarian, including education, health, and humanitarian relief.
Yeah, so the picture I'm trying to paint is, as I'm looking through these Palestinian celebrities, they're very cautious with their words. If anything, they're definitely not jumping out in front of the traffic. I would always recommend let the people who are within the community lead, rather than having black people really going full out on the limb, losing sponsorship deals and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, some things are worth boycotting or losing over principles, but I think the culture of black people just leading in these things or just doing extra, I think it needs to be reviewed, especially unfortunately, and I'm not going to play it. Just it's that double kind of whammy you go through where you have conflict in the Middle East, you have Israel and Palestinians, and you have Afro-Palestinians who get double jeopardy. Then you get Ethiopian Israelis who get double jeopardy, and it is a very interesting thing. I just think it's something that I think So, brothers on the panel, am I going somewhere with this, or am I just maybe I'm swinging in the darker side? What do you reckon about the strategy?
You're on something, because we have to be very careful how we tackle this topic. It's a way where you said it yourself, and there's original Palestinians, the black ones, that are getting oppressed out there. That's their land. You know what I mean? And there's loads of freedom. Like for example, Fatima al-Badawi. She's a black Palestinian, and she's done a lot of work over there. But I always ask this question. You know, how is it possible for the white Palestinians to be complaining about the white Israelis and that, but they still have time to oppress the black Palestinians? I've always kind of asked myself that and asked others, and I never get the correct answer. If you're going through oppression, how do you have time to oppress other people? Do you understand? So, yeah, black people, like, yeah, be very careful how you word things, but it's not our war, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And I know that land very well. You know what I mean? It's no secret. But you know, there's original black inhabitants there, and they're catching hell, man. They're getting it from both sides. So what do we do about that? You know?
Yeah, it's a very important topic. It's a very touchy topic because obviously, naturally, you're seeing the Palestinians suffering at the hands of the Israeli government, and naturally, from human to human, you want to reach out, but you also have to observe how are other Palestinians and Arab community reacting, and should you go above them, and also what is the history of how Black people are treated in that region in general, you know? And these are the questions that we're always going to have. Well, I've got a few videos about the Arab world and Black people and stuff. We might play it depending. There's some sisters that really good breakdown, and also there's an interview of a Black brother in Palestine talking. He's talking about you know how he went to jail and how he came out and how he talks to the black. He actually talks to the Black Israelis, even though he's Afro Caribbean, as in the Ethiopian Israelis, and he also talks to the African American who went to Israel, as in like even though they're on different sides of the conflict, I guess they have a connection with blackness, which I thought was cool. Um, but it does seem that Israel seems to be catching much of the problematic behavior patterns as it pertains to Black people in general, as a history of how they were treating openly the Israel the Beta Jews, the Ethiopian Jews and stuff, as well as Black people from Sudan and this kind of stuff who come to the land. But it's an interesting thing. But yeah, that's my kind of take on it. We're joined here by Brother Matchfit and Brother King Callum. We have been requested to Brother Matchfit was saying some good things last time, so we invited him back. But if there's any kind of topics you would like us to cover with the brother, or just in general, let us know. We can set up certain shows. But right now, the two topics are Black tech and Black people and Israeli Palestinian conflict. Now we try to tread very carefully. Brother Matchfit, is this a kind of area where you have an opinion on not really and stuff?
I mean, yeah, I got an opinion, but it's kind of drawn out, so you'd have to give me some time, yeah. So basically, you mentioned that three basic strands to this issue. How do I want to? So basically, you mentioned there's the fact that we are humans and we don't like to see people go through shit. So to see all this going on over there, we know it's a genocide. Know that's what's going on. These men are just getting oppressed. Obviously, our heart makes us want to speak up against that and red and so forth. Right, and then we want to consider how blacks are treated over there historically and to this day, and then maybe that makes us think, oh, maybe we shouldn't get involved, right? And then there's the thing of, oh, but what about Palestinians that are not saying anything? Why should we be stepping up and saying something if they're not even stepping up and saying something? Those are the three kind of things. Now, all of these, my basic answer to all of this, and just in general how we should see this situation or how we should react to these situations, is more of a criticism of us to the people in general, and it is that we're just intellectually lazy, and we don't want to do the due diligence that we should be masters at this stage. Like, we should have such an advanced comprehension of all the things happening now that we should understand how to articulate our position to these kind of things, right? Because we're doing what they being them, the ops and whatnot, want us to do, as in looking at this situation in an individual. Like, look at the way they frame this whole Palestinian issue. They talk about October 7th, October 7th, right? What they're trying to do there is control the narrative on the way people look at it, like the whole thing started there, and then ever since then, it's a reaction to what happened then. And that's how they're framing things, right? So everyone isolated on that. Now, we're looking at it in a similar way. Like, we're looking at this thing, do we back them because of what's going on now? As if we don't know the whole history of this land. As if we don't know the whole history of this land. This Israel-Palestinian conflict is a direct photocopy of how we have been dealt with by the same people that have created that situation. So what I'm basically saying is, this is the most newest conflict in that area. But every time this conflict's been going on for how long, right? Every time it's gone on and something serious has happened, this kind of debate happens. Oh, should we be backing it? We got our own issues. We got Congos. We got our own thing to be talking about. All of this is all intellectually lazy. It's like everybody wants a simple answer. Like, yeah, I should just go out there and protest. I don't like it. Free Palestine. Or no, I'm just going to stay home because I'm black and they don't really like black people. Both of these, like I say, are intellectually lazy responses to the reality, which is a bigger picture thing. Reality is a bigger picture thing. This is just the latest manifestation of the same group of people on the same campaign that got us to where we are in our position. If we frame it and understand that this is just another, it's like when you're fighting somebody, right? Or say like two people are at war, and then who you're warring with has gone to some other place to get fuel and supplies, and while they're over there, they're fighting somebody else. Am I supposed to say, I don't care what they're doing over there? No, that's still my enemy. And they're over there fighting these people and getting supplies. All of these things are things that make my enemy have the position it has to do what it wants to do. So all of these things have an effect on me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? This stuff isn't exclusive of us, is what I'm getting at. Right? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying that we're all supposed to go out there and defend Palestine. What I'm saying is that when we talk on it,
Go ahead.
sorry, I'm saying when we talk about it, all of us should be educated on the fact that, you know, we call it the West or Europeans, whatever you want to call it. All of us should be educated on the fact that this is a manifestation of these man's movements. And anytime we talk about it, we could just always reference the whole history. If you want to keep it more personal, how it affects us. Like, listen, this is look what they're doing over there. Look what they're doing in genocide. It's like what they did when they come to our ends and done this, that, that. It's just another chain of events. We should be just looking at this more evidence. Yeah, it's not just us. They do it to them. Do you get what I'm trying to say? We want to minimize it because we've been conditioned to think that's how to look at these things by them. So we're actually biting. It's reactionary. This is the problem, right? We're reactionary. We wait until something like this kicked off, and now everybody's like, let me stand up on protest or not protest or have an opinion. We should have had an opinion before October 7th. We should fully understand where to stand and how to view this conflict before this newest manifestation of this conflict. This conflict didn't start October 7th. We all know that, right? But we didn't have an opinion then. We waited until this new thing happened, and now we all in the middle, what to do, what not to do. It's been going on for ages. Same with Congo. Same with all of these conflicts. We're just reactionary because, again, intellectually lazy. We don't want to have a position unless it's fashionable, cool, or the common thing that everyone's talking about. Then all of a sudden we want to have a position, and in that position we want to simplify it. I'm not with them. They don't like black people. I'm saying I could hold the position that I'm completely against what's going on over there. Like, I feel bad for Palestinians, and Palestinian people are racist to black people. I could hold all of these positions if I'm intellectually advanced enough to explain all of it, which we should be, because we understand how this world works, right? We should all understand that all three of those statements are not mutually exclusive. They all sit together. There's nothing wrong with I can say all three. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not like I have to take one stance. I could say all three. They're all true. Do you get what I'm saying? So like ban Israel, end of the day, the West has made that happen, right? bun what's going on to the Palestinians, and bun the Palestinians that are racist to black man, is bare of that going on in the Arab world. They're racist to black people. All of this is true. I could say it all. Why not? What do you mean? It's true. The big picture is what I'm getting at.
Very big picture, and yeah, and we can co-sign many of that. I mean, I think understanding what the code is important. So yeah, the code is always there, right? The what has happened to the surrounding nations and Africa and so forth. You're seeing a similar thing. The only difference is when it happened to those nations, there was no cameras. There was no radio like that, right? Now we're seeing it, and we're seeing, okay, this is where people come from one place to another to go to another place, and and they're bringing their agenda and destabilizing certain things. And I think what's important is that overall arching thing. So for me, I'm about black empowerment, black betterment, right? And I remember history. I'm also a human, right? And anytime you see injustice, you want to call it out, right? But one thing I'm also aware is black people, like you said, we dash left, dash right very quickly, and there should be a stable pace, and the stable pace is observing, who is leading this thing, right? And it's like, okay, we can do our bit to as a humanitarian bit, but one thing I'm strongly recommending is for black people not in mass to go out and jeopardize everything that they have when and be that kind of face of another person's issue when those people for whatever reason haven't are not comfortable or not in mass coming out to defend that thing. Maybe the pace they're going at is a pace we should go at. I don't know.
So here's what I'm saying, yeah. All right, on what you're saying there about those people not being really back in their thing, right? First of all, you talked about entertainment. You talk about entertainers that are Palestinian and nothing. That's just as bad as when people think that black entertainers represent all black people. Like we shouldn't be looking at the entertainers and saying, since they're not backing it, then why should we back it? Like, because entertainers are not the standard of Palestinians, just like entertainers are not the standard on political realities of black people. Like, we are a bit mad to allow that image of us, right? Palestinians don't. This is why Palestinians don't even complain that much about it, because they are not so attached to the persona of the entertainers as we are. Do you get what I mean in terms of political views? So I don't think that's really the way to look at it. But again, what I'm saying is, even what you're saying, this idea of being at the front of it or anything like that, this is just reactionary behavior. What I'm saying is we shouldn't be so intellectually lazy. We should have a big comprehension of these geopolitical issues and how it relates to how it affects us and how these people move, and recognize just being out there shouting about a thing, that's like a play from the 60s, right? Because if we're not reactionary, we already have an understanding things that these are coming up, and it isn't about me going out there shouting things and risking my job.
Oh, you might have dipped, brother. If you can hear us, let us know. I don't know if it's your internet connection. Says a good point. So what he did say about making a distinction between political affiliations and celebrities before his mic cut. When if you might get switched, just jump in when you like. I'll carry on for you. And the brother's correct. Oh, it looks like he's coming. Is that you, brother? Can everyone else hear him, or is it just? Hope it's not just me.
Yeah, I can't hear him now.
Right. We'll give him time to find his microphone. Maybe. I hope someone isn't stopping his mic. No, but what I was saying is the brother's correct in this, and I say for us, we're running a case study on what we see publicly, right? And the influence that public has. Okay, he's gonna come back. Hopefully he'll connect again, and that is important. What the brother's saying, right? That having your celebrities and musicians and sport people leading is a no-no. But at the same token, we are taking it from the angle of this particular punk group that's causing some scene, even though it's all theatrics and stuff and whistles and fireworks. It still is just, the iceberg. It's the iceberg of how a behavioral pattern. And when we talk about getting on code, we have to analyze what people are seeing and how we can influence them, how to break down public figures and how best to react when they see stuff. There you go.
Yeah, but the reality of it, brother Raven, is like the reason why they can stay on code is that we see our self-esteem in the entertainers. You
Mm.
know, remember the how we behave. We've lost our self-worth. You know what I mean? Like, and this is a problem. So yeah, although the brother was saying, intellectually we have to understand, but it's more to do emotionally as well. Intellect and emotion, they're two different elements that we're facing. The fact that when you hear pain, it triggers us, the dopamine, because we as a people, we're spiritual, we don't want to see suffering. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no nation more empathetic than the Sun people. You know what I mean? Known as African people. You know what I mean? And the sad thing about it is that the other nations, they know how we think. That when you mention pain or see anything, we're quick to help out. We can't help it. So it's more to have that self discipline of, you know, reassuring that the others are going through pain, but at the same time, not getting involved. And I think that is where the alpha um black man, alpha black woman, this is where they are the successful ones. You know what I mean? Like turning away from it, you're not gonna get punished or anything like that. You know what I mean? If you're following religion or whatever it may be, understand it. We're not in a position to help people. Clearly, we're not. We don't have our economics collectively sorted out. You know what I mean? Our political agendas all over the place. So what use are we going to be to help out those who are organized? And there's a rule in military science and political science that this organized group should not be, it will always be exploited, sorry, by an organized group. You know what I mean? DJ Khaled, he can afford to not help out the Palestinians and that because DJ Khaled understands and that my wealth and money is tied up with a certain group that is controlling certain finances and that he understands that. So we know already, oh, he's not going to get involved. However, there's loads of Palestinian political freedom fighters, whether
that are doing things to organize. You see, so they can afford to have like a couple of them not doing it. With us now, we can't afford that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we have to
Brother,
also.
can you? I'm hearing. Is that my
Nah,
speak?
his thing's gone really quiet.
Right, right. I thought it was me because yeah. Okay, but brother Matchfit is back. Welcome back, brother. And we can hear you by the way. I'm getting an echo from somewhere. Let me just mute brother Kel and see if that's his. It might be brother Kel. Let me just mute for 4 seconds, brother Kel.
It's not mine.
Yo, yeah, it's you. So welcome back, brother Matchfit. Yeah. So did you want to finish what you were saying? If you can remember,
Yeah, yeah. So on getting on to whether or not to back it because certain people are not backing it that are Palestinians, I think we shouldn't be looking to follow them or not follow them. Fundamentally, that whole thing is reactionary, right? And this is the problem. We what I mean by intellectually lazy is that long before this whole new thing begins, we should already have a position.
Yes.
We should have long since had a position on all of this. It's not for this to happen and then now for us to figure out our position. Because this is what I mean. This is what I mean by intellectual. We wait for something emotive to happen and then we want to stand up and say something. As if standing up and saying something does something. If we weren't intellectually lazy, we would have done thought of it, come to a conclusion about our position and come to a conclusion about how we're going to move, period. Which would already have an answer for how we're going to move in when other people's conflicts relate to our conflicts. Because I'm saying that the line, because I'm someone who's thought about this, the line should be 100%. This is just another example of Western imperialism, the kind of Western imperialism that has destroyed Africa, kind of Western imperialism that tried to destroy the Asian nations, whether it's India, whether it's China, all of this stuff, but they was more successful with Africa. And that is just more of the same going on in Israel. Now that is me, or what's going on in Palestine. Now that is me showing that I don't like what's going on in Palestine, but from the perspective of black people. I'm showing how that is a direct link to me and how it affects us. I'm saying that's our line, fundamentally, but that's a thoughtful line. And then when somebody wants to contest it, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to have to. To be fair, it's not even about whether it's contested. This is another thing. We shouldn't be spending time justifying our responses to these things. It's a waste of energy, right? Some people want to get up and protest. They want to do that, that's fine. It shouldn't, like, he's wrong for doing it. But, like, we want to get onto people, but what about Congo? You don't talk about Congo. Whatever, man. That's what you're on, innit? Just leave him, right? If man don't want to protest, yeah, fine. Well, but that's what you're on. It's not even up for debate. But we don't really come as a group, group mentally. We don't all agree. So let people go on what they're on. But if you're talking from the perspective of Black Betterment as a people, how we should view this thing, I'm saying it should be in a wholly unreactionary way, very intentional way, and it should have been something well considered of in the past. So what I'm saying is, at this point, what we should be doing is thinking about our situation, how this teaches us about our situation, and what does that mean? Like, obviously, heart goes out to them, but what this should just be doing is teaching us about the people we're dealing with and the world we're in, as all the other stuff should have already. But like I say, we haven't really looked at it like that, because again, we're reactionary. We're waiting for something to happen, and we only deal with what's in our face. We ignore the past until we're forced to deal with it. All of this is reactionary behavior. This is the actual problem.
So you don't believe in shutting down people when they start talking about, the other communities that we should be helping. You don't believe in that?
Helping how? What do you mean other communities helping them how?
So you were saying that we're supposed to be intellectually prepared for this, but remember, we're a people who see value in other people. So, for example, if I'm walking down the street and I'm hearing the person say, "Oh, we gotta forget Black Betterment, we gotta help out the non-Africans," and that, me as a Sun person, an African descent, I should shut that person down. Now, I'm not saying I should use military science, but I should be able to verbalize to let that person know it's not our struggle. And then you'll cause a movement to shut the others down so we can get this intellectual mindset, as you're saying, because we're operating on emotional intelligence, you know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but that person's not your business. I'm saying you gotta let people be who they are. If that's what you're on, that's their level of mindset. That's the way you get them on side. Isn't by telling them they're wrong. And I don't even think that should be your goal or our goal. Anybody that's on the page that we're talking about here, this Black Betterment team, just link up with the people that are on that page. I'm saying that whole is just long, because this is just another reactionary person. This is just a person that even if you bring them over to your side, try and know they're going to come in there and they're going to be very reactionary while they're working with you on whatever things you're thinking of doing. And it's just going to cause more conflict. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I hear it to a certain extent. And the reason why that is that if there are certain strategies that triggers Black people, which it does, it triggers us, like pain and things like that, then you, by necessity, I don't want to sound like a warlord and that, but you do have to quiet certain voices so it doesn't spread. Do you understand? And that you have to kind of delegate or it will start spreading. Can you imagine? Oh, no disrespect, and let's help the non-Africans and that. Yeah, they've gone through a lot. They're going, and then it goes round, and then by the time you look, there's like 3 of us, and you got like countless of unsynchronized Black people helping out non-African people while our struggle's still at the bottom. So,
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Do you think that somebody that type of those 3, that's someone like Raven, in it, because you know Raven was, so that's someone like Raven, the 3 that ain't been unsynchronized, right? So what I'm saying is, the people that are willing to go the other way, you just let them go. The way you're getting back isn't by arguing in this debate. I'm just saying, you just got to take that. It is what it is, because you get them back by doing the things that you think is right for Black people, not by telling them that they shouldn't be doing this, and because it just doesn't change anything. Because what you're doing in that situation is you're telling them that this particular behavior is wrong. They might agree with you, but they haven't actually changed their compass on what's right or wrong. So that means the next issue comes, you're going to have to do it again. And then the next issue comes, you're going to have to do it again. Because they're not actually synchronized, or whatever you want to call it. They're just going along with what seems right at the moment. This is a problematic kind of thing. If somebody hasn't really come to that place where this certain way of thinking and viewing the world is what they are choosing with intention, it's always going to be complicated dealing with them.
Yeah,
It's unnecessary.
I am. And by the way, both brothers are giving some amazing points here. And what I'll add to that is, I guess that's why you're right. You can't tell someone what to do. People are going to do what they want. But I think what they're saying is there a universal stance that we promote? And then once that stance is there a way to direct people to that? Not necessarily force or anger or even argue, like you said, but direct, as in like use certain words to trigger certain thought processes. Like, well, you know what? And that's where we start by saying, rather than you going full out for this thing, why don't you see what others are doing and let them lead, and you can do what others do for our community, for their community. So you're mirroring the same kind of strategy.
Yeah, but Brother Raven, at the same time, you have to have. It's like a thing where if you're helping a non-African people out, yeah, we as synchronized supposed to kind of say, well, because you've caused treason, yeah, you cannot be amongst us again. There has to be penalties, bro, and that's the whole point. And what I'm trying to say is that there's no form of like infringements on us as the people. That if you start going there, this is what's going to happen to you. And I'm telling you, because of where we are, and we all know it and that, yeah, our people who are unsynchronized, yeah, they're in large amount. And if you don't shut them down, it's not like telling them that you're wrong, but you're letting them know that don't bring all that around me. Don't bring that around us. So they understand that being around these people, negativity to attack us is going to be upon them. Now, I don't mind being an agent or entity of negativity if it's going to help my people, and that I'm comfortable with that, because it's better that you be that way instead of being a people pleaser, and then you just kind of make the whole movement become synchronized, and then we're back to square one. Sometimes you have to be negative.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Positive. And just to read in between the lines, I think a person who will be that way inclined to word things, I don't think they would ever be within the actual group at all. I think they will be the everyday public person, but it's how do you, as someone who is within knowledge or has direction or purpose, how do you deal with them? But they shouldn't really be any kind of place of power or positioning or any kind of rank authority or in any meeting, really, because they're more, like the brother said, they're more reactionary and doing whatever is coming. They don't really have a consistent agenda for their people.
So exactly. So sorry, it was just Rap was asked a question earlier. You wanted a comprehensive answer that we could all give as one. I'm saying no, one doesn't exist because this is because of what you just said. Because there are people with all different type of mindsets that go with all different type of winds blowing all different type of directions. The only answer that is 100% is the one I led with. But the problem with that answer is it takes a lack of intellectual laziness. And everyone's intellectually lazy. They don't want to take the time to have all views and see the nuance in having all views. I.e., this is bad, right? But it is also directly linked to how we are dealt with. Also, racism is still present in that land that you're talking about defending right now against what's happening to them. All of these things are truth, and actually being able to hold a position where all of these things are true. So you get what I'm trying to say? And that is the only 100%. But how many of these people that you're talking about unsynchronized have the time to even really understand that position? Even though I've said it in a sentence. You know what I mean? Most of them can't be asked. They just want a simple response. And this is what I'm saying. But that person that wants a simple response, no, there is no 100% way. This is how you should. They're going to answer it how they feel like it. Even if you give them the perfect way, they'll think of some reason why that's not their way or whatever the case may be. Fuck knows. But they'll not use it. Long and short of it. So that shouldn't be the goal anyway. That shouldn't be the goal. Our focus isn't those people. The focus is just linking in this era of connectivity. Why are we so focused on speaking to the people that are still not on code? Just find the ones that are on code. That's all you need.
So what you're saying, just so you know, I agree 2000% with linking with a smaller number to get things done. Yes. But and this is the plan from day. But I would say this though. One amongst that plan is the propaganda, the promotion, the campaigning of how to get information out to get more people synchronized with better ideas for a Black First ideology. So there will be ways of how to interact with the public, or how to have a campaign, or how to have musicians or whoever of what words that you can use for them to point black people to have a B1 mentality. So right now, when you have people doing what they're doing with the current issue, it's because they're looking at the TV, they're looking at a campaign, they're talking to the dominant society, and they are being educated by osmosis that this is the best way to react as a black person or as a human or whatever, right? And I'm saying that the small number have to come together to create campaigns to reverse that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head though. You just said the answer. This small number have to come together. That means the small number have to focus on the small number.
Yes.
All these powers that be that are giving them these other answers to these questions have organized themselves to a large degree. You're talking about big, huge media companies, international conglomerates. You're talking about, yeah. You're talking multinational influence. Programs that go across the globe, and then you're telling me, yeah, no, we just need to go and talk to people on a face-to-face one. And when somebody says something to me, I'm going to tell them that you're going to speak to them for 2 minutes, and then they're going to get bombarded on Instagram or everywhere they go with this other side of the event. How are you going to beat that?
Well,
your best bet is what you said. You have to create an organization like you just created of the ones that are already there, and then you lot have to do things. Have to do things that speak for themselves. People don't listen; they copy you though. If you do something that works, they'll be impressed and they'll try and do that, right? And that is the only thing that would work.
Well, what you're saying, first of all, 10 points, that's an amazing thing you said there. And we have to fully agree with that, right? That people see what you're doing. But also, there are different strategies from different individuals. And it also comes down to the energy and time preparation of a person. So some people, they say it's necessary if they come across people person to person to give them a kind of rhetoric or a kind of explanation, right? Some people, it's like, no, this ain't going to work. I think I never really force my hand and say that. I think that regardless of what people do, ultimately getting the most synchronized people together to form big ideas is important. And just to point out, we've got 3 brothers on the panel now that we definitely come from different backgrounds, but we align on black people progressing, right? And that's why I've kept it this panel for now. We've got other people who want to come in, and maybe at a different time they can come in. But right now, it's important to get people who ultimately want the same thing, right? We want black betterment. We want to create a scenario where black people are doing better and are improving from the Martha, and things are going, in the right direction. And that conversation is this. If this is grassroots and on the internet live, but this is hopefully the education that people need of trying to get people on the same page, strategizing, or just discussing and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So for those listening now, we're discussing the black people and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We discuss how best black people can support or not support the Israeli-Palestine conflict, and we're just unpacking more so, understanding the multifaceted issues that go on in life. There's that people are suffering. There is a history of an oppressive class who have done the similar thing to your particular group. And then there is how your particular group is treated in that same land that is being oppressed. So it's a very multifaceted. But what the brothers are saying is, regardless of what is happening, there should be an overarching agenda that's always there. And what we're saying here, at least I'm saying, is a black betterment mindset is that agenda. How can you be one everything you're doing? How can you collate and work with a smaller number of more synchronized brothers and sisters to come up with campaigns and ideas and ideologies that can influence a bigger number of black people to do activities that's more black focused? And that's what we do here. And that's why you're going to see me around the internet, and maybe the other brothers debate many people as you do on the internet. But actually, when it comes to real work, it's going to be behind closed doors or in smaller circles like this of people who are more synchronized with the same ideology or a similar ideology.
So, all right, thinking about what you man are saying, yeah. If you wanted to kind of have this situation going on and then say stuff and have a view, have a position that would make people more open to this way of thinking, then it's similar to my answer before. What you would do is you would speak on it, you'd make content about it, you'd make posts about it, podcasts about it, but it would be with a frame of mapping how the West You know, the Europes, the Americas, the West, Europeans in general, have used the same tactics that are going on now in Palestine against other peoples, specifically us as well. So we relate this kind of attack going on there, this kind of genocide, this kind of destabilization, this kind of political narratives being used against them, the propaganda, the way they dress up their genocide is somehow peace for peace, and then them fighting back is somehow, you know, they're terrorists. You get what I'm saying? Like we've been victims of all of this type of stuff. So this is how we should talk about it, because in talking about it like that, we do talk about the wrongs of what's going on over there, but then we alert those who are very comfortable in the West and think of themselves as very British or European or whatever you want to call it. It gives us an opportunity to alert that kind of minded person that, look, this is what your chosen group do. This is how we've always done it. It's just the newest way of doing it. True, they're not doing it to you right now because you're apparently on their side, but they're doing it to these people, and that's what they did to us back then. It's just normal. It's just what they do, and try and know this is what they're always going to do because history repeats itself. And this type of narrative, do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how we could talk about this. And in that, it doesn't compromise us in any way. It's just, it could just be like a history report. Do you know what I mean? Names and dates, times, stats, and you could just see how this correlates to everything that's always happened. Just another manifestation of it. Gives you your chance to bring people over, like you're saying, make it holistic, so we're not like, or we're not paying attention to other things going on, because in that we would talk about the things going on in Congo or where else in the African diaspora, and in that report you could talk about every kind of ingredients that we've suffered while still centering the Palestinians issue. We still center ourselves.
But isn't that the issue though, my beloved brother, is that one way or another, still centering the Palestinian issue is going to trigger our dopamines to be sympathetic to get rid of our cause, because
No, I said both. Just after I said that, still centering theirs while centering ours. I'm
yeah,
saying, look at what's going on there.
but we shouldn't be centering theirs though, brother. That's the whole point of it. That's what it says, that we have to get as a people a level of not being scared to be the villain towards other people. Do you understand? The fact that you're going to center it to them is going to dissever our connection, what we got to do, because we know our people. Do you understand? We know our people, and that when the word human comes in, we become unsynchronized. Pain for other people, unsynchronized. Do you understand that? Anything to do with it, because we are very spiritual people. You know this. You know what I mean? So you have to have a built-in mindset of being very selfish and not showing consideration. You be the human, I'll be the African. That's the only way, brother, we can get out of the situation. Because when you go to them lands and that, yeah, for example, there's a place called Hebron. Hebron means the city of Abraham, yeah? And you've got the black Palestinians uniting with the black Israelis in that.
Oh, Brother Cal, I think your mic has jumped again. Could be wrong. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it has.
You're saying some interesting, good stuff there, bro. I think you're talking about why you do. Well, yeah, I think you're talking. There was. I might have one video of.
Can I just interject there, because
Go ahead,
I was trying to do what he's saying. Like what I'm saying, bro. I hope you can hear me.
I'm sure.
When I said center them, I finished with via centering us. What I'm describing is talking about what's going on to them through our perspective. Centering our perspective, our reality, our history, and showing that what's going on over there is just an example of what's happened to us, and directly showing that. And the only purpose I'm saying this is for, because you guys was talking about how do you talk to those that say, you know, look after them. This is what I'm getting at, is a way to do what you man was asking for. Talking for the people that I was saying, that are talking about free Palestine and and I'm saying, then listen, you could give them a breakdown, right, that demonstrates that what's going on there is just a newest manifestation of what's already been happening to us. because it's the same group of people that are doing the same thing. So from our perspective, we need to understand that this stuff is just the same shit, different day. It's not over. We're just in this time where we seem to think ours is in the past, but look, they're doing it right now, which means they could circle back at any time. So this is what I'm saying. We talk about it in that way. So from our perspective, centering them via centering us.
I think, thank you, bro. The sister, I think your connection broke. But yeah, I think that maybe there are some brothers. What they say is they'll say big up Palestine, Congo, and Sudan. I don't know if that's like that they always try to mention other atrocities going on at one time when they wave their banner. Yeah. Brother Cal, I don't know if your mic works, but if not, let me. I don't. Yeah, let me know if your mic works. But if not, not to worry. It's quite quiet. Emperor Kush is also here. Oh, let me remove sis. Don't forget to turn your camera off if you don't want to get. If you don't, I think it is off, but it looks black. Let me know. I can put you on the stage now. Yeah, there you go.
Good looking out, bro.
There you go.
I like to see the brothers always looking out for their sisters.
Right, welcome, sis. Obviously, Brother Match Fit is here, and I think Brother Kel was trying to fix his microphone. He might have got it. I'm not too sure, but I know he's trying to fix it.
Okay, I was just listening in on the Palestinian, and I think it's a good discussion by all the brothers talking about it. I've kind of always gone back and forth with this Palestinian thing. I think initially, I think someone mentioned the fact of just using it as, I think it was Brother Matchfit that said just using it as a factual base and ticking, or what we'd probably say is like a case study over here and things. And I do agree that we should do that, but I do think that we should be looking at it as international politics and local politics in a way of any time we're dealing with things like this. I think initially with the Palestinian conflict, I was getting frustrated of the actual expectation of Black people, Black artists, Black anything to have a stand. I don't think it was only the Palestinians. I think it was both sides were shocked of just the lack of anything from Black people. And I think we even mentioned that when it first started happening, because a lot of artists or anything to do with Black people with a high profile were talking about it from one side or the other, where they were feeling pressure to commit to something. And then, so that kind of frustrated me. And then when South Africa got involved, I was really frustrated, but I was just so curious as to, on the continent, there is so much things, because I think, and I hope history remembers South Africa's role in this. You know, South Africa was one of the only countries to make a stand, a big political international stage stand, to start having, you know, charges and bringing them into court and hold them accountable. South Africa was like one of the loudest voices for that. You know, when it comes to professionalism and all of that, it was, if you step out of it, it was a great thing to see. I would have loved to see them done that with the other countries on their own continent. So again, I was frustrated at that. And I understand that this Palestinian and Israel is not a new issue, and the Pan-African thought process of it has always been to support Palestine historically. You know, if we look at our leaders, they've all mentioned that they don't agree with what Israel has done with Palestine. They've been talking about it. So now looking at it, and looking at it, as I said, as international politics and local politics, I'm starting to understand that it's not, because I do love what Brother Kel said about, you know, you be the human and I'll be the African. I'm taking that bar, bro. Yeah, I love that bar. And I just think that, however, I'm starting to understand the political side of the stance against Israel.
Mm.
I think it's only on the, because I've been talking to people, asking a lot of people questions and looking into it, and I only understand it. I'm starting to understand it on the scale of politics solely. That if we allow a nation which is heavy white supremacy, you know, one of the big hitters in white supremacy, and we're seeing that more and more now. If we just say, okay, it's okay for a country to take over a sovereign country, we will be next. And we've seen that once one thing happens, they pattern it out to other things that they're trying to do. And so on that basis, and because of what I'm hoping to see more of in regards to that, the Sahel, I kind of understand that position of just holding a position on a political basis of, yeah, we don't agree on you invading a country that's trying to be sovereign, or even just trying to take over a region and claim it yours. And do you know what I mean? Just because of the implications, what that could cause for us. So I do believe that's a political view rather than taking the other steps that we kind of fall into in the community, as in taking the, you know, the humanian side and not really realize, because if you do that side, I can't really rock with it, because as I'm sure has already been mentioned, how they've treated us, they don't care about us. So I can't really reason with it on that side of things. I can reason with it as a general human, as like, you know, as we all can. So we don't really necessarily need to say that. No one here is evil. We can all see that that's a bad thing, right? But for me, the only way that I could say I understand the stance is to say it is a political stance. And as what someone said, understand that we have had experience with these kind of people. We've seen this kind of attack. We're used to it. And so the expectation for, and I think it's obvious, and the whole world knows that, because the expectation of when something like this happens, they always expect Black people to speak on their behalf on it. So that's why I say it's a tricky one, if that makes sense.
It is a tricky one.
I don't think it's tricky though. What you just said there this is what I mean by intellectually lazy, because what you said there is just the fundamental truth. If you just think about it for 2.5 seconds, what they're doing there is how they co-opt land. That's how they colonize. That's what's been happening. That's what's happened to us. So it's like in Africa, right? What happened was they would make arrangements with some group, and they would start enslaving a different group. And then other groups would hear about it and say, well, it ain't happening to us. It's not my problem. Do you get what I'm saying? So they just let it go until it was too late. If they had just all stamped out in the beginning, yeah, that's mad. I'm not having that. I'm not having that. It wouldn't have worked. But because we kept on, where it's not really affecting me, it's not really my problem. Bottom line, their ops are our ops, right? So they're just doing to them what they will do to anybody who's in their way. And then you just mentioned what's going on now in the Sahel region. So 100%, it's just a logical conclusion. If we are allowing that to happen, they will frame their man as some sort of terrorist, some sort of, I don't know, something, right? And look, you just let us do a genocide over there. What do you mean? Not yet let us, but nobody was complaining about that. They will frame that as somehow justifiable. They will even create the terrorist attack or whatever. They will fake something. Right, and now all of a sudden they've got, and everyone will know it's bullshit, but because we let it slide before, how are you gonna act all mad now, right? Bottom line, it's not about saving the Palestinians. That political thing is the only thing. What you just said there is the thing we should be paying attention to. They're moving mad. This is just them moving mad, taking over places and stealing things. And it's not even because you like Palestinians you say something about it. It's because you know, like, them man will move mad. It's like a man on the ends, yeah, that just moves mad with his strap or whatever, innit, yeah? Like, you don't want him around in your ends. You don't want to go to the shrubs when he's at the shrubs. It don't matter that you ain't got no beef with him. You know he's a liability. Any minute will happen to you. So you got to have a problem with that. You've got to have a problem with that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And that's the position we should have. It's that intellectually advanced understanding that this is just an issue for us in the long run. No way around it.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I agree. And I think as well as knowing that, and then holding that view and making it very clear that this is a political view. I'm very aware that if I was in Palestine, how I would be treated. And I want the Palestinians to be aware that we are aware of that.
That we're aware, yes.
Exactly.
Say that. Say that as well. Exactly.
Yeah, but I also want that the people that is within the Sahel to be watching, to understand that these are the tactics. And that now we've seen that it wasn't just Palestinian, what they're doing with Iran now, and the lies and how they just use any kind of proxy to kick off a war. What you lot are doing in Africa, remember, we are the what they call the bread basket of the world, and what is happening in the Sahel can jeopardize a lot. So what it is to, yes, say politically I don't agree, say loud that I understand how Palestinians see me, and then behind the scenes those countries should be like, right, these are the tactics they're using. We should already have a plan A and B and C for these tactics that they're clearly doing over and over again, and they're going to be coming
over and over again.
Yeah.
So this is a case study. That's what you asked for earlier, right, Raven? Like a general answer. There's no slogan-y answer. It's all of this. This whole discussion is the general answer. The whole thing, you're not allowed to have one sentence. Doesn't work like that. That's our problem. We want one sentence. Just free Palestine. I've done my bit now, innit? Or free Palestine and free Congo. I've done my bit now. Nah, none of that works. The whole thing has to be part of our disclaimer about this subject, because it's not about Israel. I mean, Palestine. It's not even about Palestine. It's about the bigger picture. They're just an example of the big picture, because it's the same remember, it's the same group of people that are doing all this. So to just make it about Palestine is dumb. To make it about whether Palestinians like black people is dumb. To make it about whether entertainers back Palestine that are Palestinian is dumb. All of these are intellectually lazy perspectives on this. The only one that takes into a comprehensive outlook at is what this is calling political view. I don't even call it a political view. That's just the truth. That's the holistic truth. That is what we are actually seeing. The reality of it is that this is them man moving mad, and this is what them man will do when they're ready to do it to whoever they need to do it to. So we need to understand, look, we've got examples of doing it to us. Now they're doing it again right now as we speak. And then now they've got a threat in North Africa. What do you think they're going to do to them? What do you mean? If we ever step up in any way we are, what do you think they're going to do to us? What do you mean? It's just common sense. If you're actually using your brain a little bit, just a little bit, you'll see it like that. Unless you want to be intellectually lazy and say a slogan.
All right. This is good. Give me 4 seconds. There was one short video I had that, is it this one? No, this one.
We born here.
That's what you said.
Here.
Nah, that's probably interesting to listen to just for a bit. Just for a bit.
Here. We grew up here. We have the same history like Palestinians. Even whenever I sit with Palestinians, I say, look, brothers, sisters, you are oppressed by the occupation, but we as Afro-Palestinians, we are double oppressed. First as Palestinians, second because of the color.
Palestine has been inhabited for thousands of years and has been home to a diverse array of cultures, languages, and religions throughout the centuries. One of the lesser known and nearly forgotten ethnic communities in Palestine today are known as the Afro-Palestinians. The Afro-Palestinian community is small, with only around 350 to 400 people, and they can be found deep in the heart of the old city of Jerusalem, in an area known as the African Quarter. In this video, I'll explore the historical roots of Afro-Palestinians, delving into the journey of their forebears and how they came to settle in Palestine. The historical migration of Africans to Palestine primarily occurred through two distinct paths: pilgrimage and enslavement. Firstly, the tradition of pilgrimage by African Muslims, as exemplified by Mansa Musa, King of Mali, led to the establishment of Palestinian communities with roots in Sudan, Senegal, Chad, and Central Africa. These pilgrims initially journeyed for the Hajj in Mecca and later visited Jerusalem, particularly the Al-Aqsa Mosque, as early as the 12th century. This enduring tradition of pilgrimage has spanned centuries, which is why many Afro-Palestinians today can trace their lineage back to these early pilgrims arriving in the Holy Land. The alternative route that brought Africans to Palestine was through slavery, as a result of the Arab-Muslim slave trade, noted as the longest-standing slave trade in history, lasting for more than 1,300 years, and enslaving millions of Africans, forcefully taking them away from their homes to work in inhumane conditions. In the 9th century, Palestine was situated along two of the most prominent Arab slave trading networks, the Red Sea slave trade and the Trans-Saharan slave trade. The Red Sea route connected the African coast, particularly the Horn of Africa, to the Arabian Peninsula. The port of Zanzibar became a hub for this route, where enterprising Arab merchants and slave traders would purchase Ethiopians, Somalis, and Sudanese people to carry their goods back to the Middle East. On the other hand, the Trans-Saharan caravan concentrated on the West African region straddling the Niger Valley to the Gulf of Guinea to slave markets in the Maghreb and the Nile Basin. The voyage could take up to 3 months and involved inhumane conditions that saw slaves die along the way due to disease, hunger, and thirst. An estimated 50% of all slaves would die in transit. The slaves served in various roles, including as domestic servants, laborers in agriculture and mining, soldiers, administrators, and in the harems of the many sultans. When compared to the European transatlantic slave trade, which was more focused on physically strong young men to work in farms, the Arab slave trade had a lot of focus on concubinage, capturing young women and girls who would be turned into sex slaves, and it was common for Arab masters to sire children with black females. Male slaves were generally castrated, so they weren't able to reproduce, and were often selected as guards for the sultan's harem, as they could be trusted not to sleep with any of the women. This practice was common in many Muslim empires and sultanates, from the Ottomans to the Abbasids. This practice carried on for centuries, not only in Palestine but throughout the Middle East. This Arab slave trade would go on until the 20th century, but the slave trade in Ottoman Palestine would officially end in 1870, when the last slave ship was registered to have arrived. But these laws were not strictly enforced until the 1920s, when Ottoman Palestine was formally transformed into the British Mandate. The British Empire, having signed the 1926 Slavery Convention as a member of the League of Nations, was obliged to investigate, report, and fight slavery and the slave trade in all land under direct or indirect control of the British Empire. So the British policy was abolitionist. However, in reality, they were reluctant to interfere in cultural issues if they feared their interference could cause unrest. In the British report to the League of Nations for 1924, they reported that slavery existed in Transjordan but had ended in Palestine in the early 20th century after the import of slaves had stopped. According to the British, the Palestina Bedouin tribes did own African servants called Abid, but they now had some rights as the rest of the tribe members and should be regarded as former slaves, and that the same term should apply to the African female domestic servants of the many Arab noble families. After World War I, the custom of enslaved servant girls and domestic servants in Arab households simply was called employment, upon which the girls were sold as contract servants for a period between 7 and 25 years. And in 1931, there were about 150 such girls in Nablus, and about 150 more in the rest of Palestine. The British wished to ban this practice, but since many of these groups appeared to accept the situation and were not interested in protesting or changing the practice, the British preferred not to interfere in the matter. However, former slaves and their children continued to work for their former enslavers and were still reported to be living in a state of de facto servitude well into the 1930s. Many members of the black Palestinian community are the descendants of these former slaves and indentured servants.
I'll end it there. That's some brief, quick history of some of the issues that are going on that form Black Afro-Palestinian. To answer your question, I think Brother Kel's mic, something went wrong with him and he disconnected. It's a shame that he might not be able to join us, but he did drop enough good information. We're joining everyone, but we're looking at Empress Kush and Brother Matchfit, and we were discussing, if I can get rid of this, we were discussing the topic of black people and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We discuss how best black people can support or not support the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We're just talking about, how best, what are the strategies to use, what is the expectation, is there anything you can do in regards to educate black people on the history of political science when it comes to dealing with the region? Do we see similarities in what's happening to the Palestinian group that we've seen in surrounding groups for European colonization in history time? And if so, is there a way to react? We were given a very interesting perspective from Brother Matchford as well as Empress Kush. And also Brother Kel was obviously giving us food for thought, but unfortunately his mic kind of cut, so he might not be able to complete the knowledge he was given, but he's always welcome back whenever, if ever that gets fixed. There you go. So I guess what's the time? Yeah, we still got a bit of time, but we want to give thanks to Empress Christian Brother Matchfit for coming on and giving us a very good perspective and showing a very constructive way of talking about topics, and also one of the overarching themes, I guess, that we're always pushing forward is to get a smaller number of more synchronized people who focus more on the black agenda, the be one first ideology, to actually work together to find those solutions and to create or start to create that narrative that will educate from a campaign branding standpoint what collective ideas is best to uphold publicly or in your family as it pertains to Black Betterment.
I think with that, I do. I've been literally, that I agree with. I've been saying that for ages about that the majorities, we shouldn't be looking to the majority, and it's always been the minority that's pushed further for us. But I don't think that's to say that there's only one way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we're in the West, we get trapped to sometimes thinking in a Western kind of superior, especially being in Britain or the Americas. I feel that sometimes, even with good intentions, we echo some of the same ways that they go on. And they definitely have like a one size fit all kind of way of doing things. And with us, typically we don't. And I think with our problem, the way it is and how vast it is, I don't think it's going to be a one solution way of doing it. I think as long as everyone's singing on the same hymn sheet, the ways that they do it is sufficient. I just think that there needs to be like a course set of a type of people singing in the hymn sheet. I think you need your unapologetics, and I think that we, especially in the UK, need to allow our unapologetics to be unapologetic and not be the first ones to pull them down when they're talking truth and speaking strength. I think we need to have spaces where we're being able to talk and have a dialogue with people, having that dialogue who we know their intention is for the betterment of us, but who have different ways of doing it, and that be allowed, instead of getting into this culture of this Roman kind of culture where we'll just duel and battle for public assumptions while they put their thumbs up or down to see who we're killing or slewing. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like there's a lot of Western ways in the way that we feel that we're going to have to deal with this problem. I think that's the problem. I think that we need everybody singing on the same hymn sheet. you know, and that's why, you know, those 3 first basic questions, as long as all those, you know, what we've been saying in Black Betterment, as long as they believe in Black love and all the other 3 that we say, you know, once you've got those fundamentals out of the way, we know, all right, you know, like, because, you know, some people say they are, you ask them 1, 2 questions and it's a whole different ball game, right? We already know that. So I'm saying, as long as, that's very key, as long as they're all singing on the same hymn sheet, but they believe there's different ways of doing it. If they're all singing in the same hymn sheet, it's very unlikely that just because I have way A and you have way B, it's unlikely that they're going to harm each other, because our fundamentals, which is we're all singing on the same hymn sheet, we all adhere to these set rules, then it should still go. Does that make sense? In fact, I think it would succeed in that way. I think us forcing everything to be done one way is not going to work. And I think that's the problem. I think we do need to be linking up with like-minded people, but I think within like-minded people, we need to learn how to work within each other. We need to learn that in order for, if we're saying that it's only going to be like-minded, and I'm definitely a part of that team that believes that, then what are like-minded people doing in order to work together? To you know, we can all work separately, but there needs to be times where we're utilizing and coming together and doing something. And I think that's the problem.
Very good there. Very good, sister. The sister brought up the triple triumphs, which is Black families, Black economics, Black health, and that kind of like how to work with people, but understand that at a certain point people will have a different approach. But as long as the goal is the same, then you understand that you're kind of still in the same boat, and you can give a distance or a different kind of support. And yeah, and naturally, people are always gonna, you know, you're gonna get a sect of people who have one idea, and then as it gets bigger, 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 you're gonna get people who have different idea, and they're gonna splinter off and try a different approach. But as long as the fundamentals are there, that we want Black people to progress and be united and have a continuous process of doing that. You know, that longevity concept of it's good to get that win, but you want to set up a scenario where you're constantly winning and you're constantly repairing. Unfortunately, any video we play now about Black people in any land, it seems, we have a history of the Ma'afa or a mistreatment of Black people. It seems the world was very good at mistreating Black people. So that knowledge will hopefully keep you trying to fix what others have destroyed. And that's why we have the show Black Betterment.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that we need to just get used to just doing that. You know, I think if anyone's ever been in a privileged position to be in a space where you've seen different groups that are strong in, you know, Black first, and you've been in an environment where you see the different groups all to come together, it's a very beautiful thing.
Yes.
Very empowering thing. You get to see how, wow, like everyone brings something that's needed, and this force that we have together. Do you understand? Even if everyone's repping their own thing, but we can all come together in a space for something that we all believe in, which is fundamentally us. There's nothing more powerful to me, rather than a uniform of everyone of the same uniform, especially all of us are sitting on the same hymn stream, on the same hymn sheet, saying exactly the same thing, like we're in some mass car production. Like, we're not going to do that. We're never going to do that. You
know? Good stuff. So so any questions in the audience? Anything you want us to cover? Any? We got 2 amazing guests there with Brother Matchfit and Sister Empress Chris. And obviously any questions from Brother Kel, I'm sure he might read it and we let him know, and he might answer it next week when he's fixed his mic and stuff. If he comes back, that's if he has time. But any questions in the group, let us know. Big up Nixie, and big up obviously Brother Katari. And bring up everyone else who's been in the background. Who else? It was Everything's Everything.
Sosa.
Who was that? Sorry.
Sosa.
Yep. Javan, and anyone else, and also Dominique. Of course, yes. Dominique. I would say also there's some people that they've shown interest in wanting to actually have a discussion, but they prefer to have more of a one-to-one and stuff just because they're not used to the format. If that's you out there and you wish to have some kind of, you have a say, you want to have a discussion, by all means, or if you want to see other people come back, you can make requests and we can invite people back. And maybe give people more of an introduction to what they do and how they, how they try to work back better in their life and stuff. We cannot do that. But we are coming to the end now, so I would say unless there's other kind of requests or anything, any kind of like last things from Sister Kush and Brother Match Fit.
No, I'll just say that it's good to have these kind of conversations. So well done for just keeping up a space and environment for all of us to have this kind of discussion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna finish it. Yeah, basically, I kind of echo
I don't know
what
if
I
it's
always
just
say,
me,
right?
but the volume is really low.
Brother Match Fit, the same
Yeah,
thing
I'm
that Brother Kills
yeah, I
happened to you.
just stepped away from the phone a little bit.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, what the sister said is the only question that should be concerning us is how do we work with the like-minded people? This should be the pertinent question. Like I say, it's not really about getting people on code so much as it is finding those that are on code and figuring out how to work together. This should be the most paramount of thinking for people with this mindset. This should be the first thing, and organizing amongst ourselves what it is we're gonna do and getting it done. That's the first one. And on that note, my thing is that this discussion we've had today, you asked the question that what do we say as a people about this whole Palestine? What should be our stance? And we've kind of discussed it, and we have come to an actual conclusion. It's not one of those open-ended debates. We've actually realized what should be said, but we just realized that what should be said is kind of long-winded, right? So my suggestion is maybe come up with some sort of a newsletter type thing. Yeah, could come under the Black Betterment helm or title. I don't know. Maybe it's just an Instagram page, a website, a landing page, physical paper. I don't know. But you basically, on this topic, for example, you basically make the case. It could be a podcast episode. It could be a bit of content. It could be a video. Whatever the case may be, you make the case that was described here that references all the realities, the entire history. So at any point when this subject is raised, you've got that as the reference, the go-to. You can go there and see this whole point, but you're going to get talking points from making that piece of content. And you could do that for every such form of reactionary event that happens that seems to have the unsynchronized being very loud and the synchronized seemingly drowned out, right? Come with a comprehensive outlook on how we should, on all the things that we should consider when forming our views on this topic, right? And you can present that, like I say, it could be like a newsletter type thing, could be a bit of content, because I'm aware that you are always concerned about how to speak to those that are not synchronized yet. So I'm offering you a method to do that using this example that we've just discussed today. You create that whether it's a newsletter, Instagram page, whatever form of content that allows you to outline the case as we've described it here, what Sister called the political understanding of our stance. What I just call the truth, the overarching truth, what I call the unintellectually lazy approach to looking at this thing, which is just another way of saying a comprehensive look at things. And if you present that to anyone, creating that will give you the short, summarized version of the answer in and of itself. You'll be better equipped to answer it in simple, but creating that will give you a reference that you can, look, you can follow that and you can see my answer if you don't understand what I'm saying. Or if it's in a conversation, you'll have the talking points down and pat. And anybody that's privy to that piece of content will also have the answers down and pat, whether they agree or don't agree, because it's going to be very fact-based. They're kind of screwed. It's all been laid out.
Can I ask the brother a question?
You can, go ahead.
So, in regards to we agreeing on, the fundamental is that the like-minded needs to get together. What do you think are some of the issues that are blocking that happening?
It's the same issues that affect the unsynchronized people. There's just a lack of belief that we can actually do anything. It's just a lack of belief that we are good at organizing, so we don't really think that we can link up. Even in the conscious community, the idea is Black people don't want to link up. We don't want to work together. We still have this kind of view, and And then there is just like even those that won't say it or consciously do anything to say that they're not really down. There's this subconscious kind of feeling of it's not really going to do anything. So there's a half-heartedness to it all. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm saying this is our we problem. Because there's just literally we're like a defeated people. So even the conscious amongst us don't really, for the most part, don't really believe that we can actually achieve something. Just think about it like this: if we really did believe it, then we would already linked up. If we really thought linking up, getting organized, and doing something would change things, we would have done it already. Clearly, even if we say we do, we don't really believe it. We would have done it. So that's what I'm saying. Fundamentally,
do you think that we know? Do you think we know of each other? Do you think we all know of each organization, grassroots organization that are genuinely down doing the works?
I feel like no one, yeah, because even the ones that we know about, do we get involved? Do we work with them? And then, yeah, 100% we don't. But the fact that we don't, is that because they're invisible, or is because we haven't seeked them out? You know, and both of those realities link back to the we don't really believe. So we see someone that might be doing something, and we think that's good that he's doing that, but it's not really going to work. He's not really that guy. He's good, but he's just a good guy. He's not really smart enough to do. We don't really, you know, we're dying for some sort of symbol, some sort of savior type perfect character to come with some perfect solution, which is a myth. That's something we've been conditioned to look for. So we fundamentally we just don't believe in anyone that's doing anything. So it's not that we're not aware. One, we don't look, so we don't see everyone that's doing something because we're not seeking it out. And two, even those that we do see, we still don't get behind it because we just don't think it's going to do much. We might, you know, like a comment or share a post, but we're not really out there trying to back it. Oh yeah, I like what he's doing. I'm out there. Let me jump into his thing because he's got a good idea. Nah, not really on that. And I'm talking about the conscious lot.
Yeah,
I'm not
that
talking.
was the
You know what I
question.
mean?
That was about. What do you think to my question, Brother Raven? What do you think one of the main issues are of like-minded organizations? What stopped them from all meeting up?
I think
Some
I
of
think
the
I think what the brother says, there's much truth there. I also think what might trump it to an extent is what we could define as disorganization, in the sense of looking outside of your circle and making an attempt to actually like connect. And I think that's why what we do here, or what I try to do, is let people know that if you're a black organization and you're doing something constructive for black people, time given, I will support. This is a me to we scenario, right? And also in my journey personally, what I'm trying to do is just like people here, network with people here. So eventually, when you have that meeting, you know who to actually call directly because obviously there's the conscious community and there's different strands, and then there's the average everyday person. So you have to understand that the particular unique small strands of that's who's more synchronized with what you're doing, but then there's also greater conscious community of people who want the same kind of thing, take or give. So I think organization is always going to be an issue, and but I think what we're doing now is part of that. As in, by us talking and breaking the ice, now we understand that on this panel now, even though we have different backgrounds, ultimately we want the same thing. But there's also people who might come on the show who want a different thing, and that's why in certain points they might not necessarily be on these talks. They're also like the kind of everyday kind of blah 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 talk. But this kind of talk here, this is where you want your more synchronized governance, the grassroots governance kind of, and that's what I suspect we're doing here.
I think also with us, there's so much that needs immediate attention, you know, in regards to what needs fixing. And I think, like, say for example, something like, oh no, Rwanda is known for having like the clean streets, right? Apart from its negativity, right? The clean streets and the aspect of I forgot his name now, but the leader saying that I don't know what day it is, every single body goes out and cleans the streets. Right. So if you've got loads of issues, but you just said today, this right now, our first thing we're going to try and tackle is the state of the streets. and then everybody focused on the street, and then you saw that although it's just one issue, us all focusing on it, we actually did it. Like the next day everyone looked around, and then the next week everyone started doing it, and then they carried on, and then it started to be known, and then it started to be internationally known, and now they're known for having one of the cleanest streets. They're known for the fact that everybody has that responsibility to come out and do that. And now it's kind of just like clockwork. You know what you're going to do on that particular day. You know, everyone's going to do it. You don't question it. And now it's just kind of the way of life. I doubt that anybody who lives in that kind of environment would ever want to go backwards now, because they're seeing the benefits of it, right? So I feel like perhaps one of the things is that if we all try to come together with like mind and did a task that was manageable, and as actually doing the actions. So although it's just one issue, right, and it might not even be the biggest issue, but if it's the motions, it's the affirming that this can happen because we are doing it. And that realization and you realizing it then gives confidence that actually we can do this. Like,
Sister, I'm writing this down, by the way. I've written down the easy first step. That's what I just called it. Right.
Yeah.
It's a very good. Obviously, I'm going to do my interpolations as I normally do. It's a very good idea. Very good idea. And what I would say, and I'll let you finish in a bit. What I would say is, it's a task we should ask the people. Yeah, this is a good task to do, but it's something that we have to. One thing I would say about creating anything, especially as a first step, be realistic with the first steps. Because sometimes people might say, "Let's make a bank" or something, right? That's a beautiful thing to do, or let's make an app, which is another beautiful thing to do, whatever. But I think we need to be a first step. Is that what could an easy first step you could do, whatever that thing might be, that everyone could easily get involved in on an easy level. So that way you can actually see the start, middle, end of a project or something, and that way it can prepare you for the next step. Carry on, sister. I just didn't front because I wrote it down. Sorry about that.
No problem, my bro. And I think it's very important for it to be something very small, but something that does impact directly to us.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good idea for us to, you know, behind the scenes, start talking one-on-ones who know about this organization or that organization. And we just say that, you know, there's this little project that we want to do. We want to be able to do it where you have your independent autonomy. We want you to come as your represented group. We respect you as your group. The only thing that we want is that we can all do this together and show that to community that we have done this. And after that, make it clear who are the organizations who are involved. Therefore, that the synchronized and the unsynchronized can see that a lot of people talk it, but these 10, 15, 4, 5, 100 organizations actually did it in the UK, Black for us. You know, that would be so powerful. And then that would the ones who true for that, there's something in that, like, it's like that first taste, right? You know, that majority of them people go, all right, what's our next one? Or the people then will be like, all right, well, we need this. You know, you could structure something and make sure that for a set amount of schools that we've sorted out something. We want one particular thing that we're going to make sure we do, and we do it. If it's not for finance, maybe we can help out with something. Maybe we can set up something and make sure that we do it for the duration of time that we need to do it in. And it doesn't have to be a long duration time. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, there are things that we could do to show that, very small, but just to show that we could do that. And we will learn a lot in that. There will be a lot of learning in that in order for us to prepare for the next time. But I think that these are little things.
I'm going to write that down, and maybe I'll talk to you outside as well as put a way to word that. So maybe next week's show is asking that question, so we can make it as a community question. And you guys who are listening, that could be your homework. Think of what that one task could be. Obviously, you know, something that could be deliverable. I would say the smaller the better, because it's because like when it comes to doing something, sometimes you over imagine, you know, the amount of work that goes in. So that's why having your first step is more of a community unity exercise that demonstrates something. But that'll be interesting, good talking point for us to do. I hope that makes sense. But we want to give thanks definitely to Empress Kush and Brother Match Fit. Any last words from you two brothers and sisters before we say Black Betterment to all?
Yeah, Brother Matchfit, what do you think about what I proposed?
Yeah, on a fundamental level, I like the principle. I kind of thought on this kind of thing in the past, and I think the goal is that everybody, because the thing is, everybody doesn't get on the same page. You kind of said it earlier, and it is an annoying thing. Even people of the amongst the conscious community, everyone doesn't agree that that's the thing that needs to be done now. So I suppose, yeah, if it's super simple, then everyone will agree. But then if it's super simple, what you'll find, or I think what you might find, is that some people think, well, is it really worth the time then? If it's so basic, what does it matter? What I think is that all the networks, like whatever I'm doing, whatever whatever you're doing, Rap Raven, whatever, everyone that's of that like-minded mind that you link up with, you help them do what they're doing. They help you do what you're doing. And the best one literally is to come up with a project that utilizes what everyone's doing already. So you look at what everyone's doing. Look at what Rap's doing. Rap's got a platform. He's doing. He goes out. He talks to people. Okay, so and I'm doing my boot camp where I've got my youth program and I've got a storyline competition. So I say, Rap, what I need you to do is when you go out there, because you're already talking to them, could you talk about this and link it to something you're doing? So it's that reciprocity. You're gonna help my team work while doing your thing, which helps your team work because you've got more things to present. Essentially, come up with a project that utilizes all the people that are already doing stuff. Come up with something where all they've got to do is more of what they do. So you don't have to do what I think is the best thing. Because like I say, everybody's got a different idea of what the best thing is to do. Even if it's simple, everyone that kind of, but I don't think it should be done that way or whatever. All right, so you do this, you do that, and you do that already, right? All right, come up with something that utilizes skill A, skill B, skill C, skill D, all the skills that we have. What project could I do using all of these skills? So everybody just has to do more of what they do, but to a particular aim, as opposed to doing something completely else.
I think that's really good feedback, Brother Raven, to make notes on. And I'd say to that as well, that you raised a lot of good points there. I think on one of the points where you said that, it could be just like, well, if it's so small, what's the point? Well, then this is the circle of constant negativity, right? Because if the initial thing is that, well, we can never get together, we can never organize, that is the point. Sometimes especially with us, I feel like the bar is so low that seeing that would make such a big impact anyway. And I think it's about what the thing that it is that we choose to do, whether or not it is deemed useless or not. And like I said, it's the way you word it, right? Because I knew that would come in because I know how we talk, right? And I think sometimes, as you said, some people always come with the negativity first. Always. And I think that absolutely. So I just think that it's the way you word it. So we haven't decided what the thing is yet, but I do agree that utilizing people's different skills, so making sure that whatever we do, it utilizes them or it benefits them in somehow, it makes more sense. But it's also about understanding that if it's something so small, and even if it's something that's not your skill, but it's something that you just give up a pound for, or you give up an hour of your day for, or you give up half a day for, and then you've done your part, then that shouldn't be too bad either. We need to get into the habit of supporting each other, even if it's something that's not particularly, I know that it's a need for, because I think that that's another thing we need to start reiterating as well, because we have so much urgent needs. Not one is not more than the other. And I think that it makes sense why some people are more passionate towards health, or more passionate towards the politics, or passionate about the relationship, passionate about the psychology, passionate about the history. I don't think we should bash these people for having their passions in them areas and saying that, the other one is more important. In fact, we need to embrace them people, make sure that they feed into them passions, because they're all important. We need to be funneling all of these people who have these passions for us to do better and encourage them to do it, because I'm not interested, it still impacts me. And if you, brother man, are interested in that and you want to look into it and you want to find better ways that can help me, that's better for me. I should be encouraging that, right? So like, the government might not necessarily care about cancer, but they have a whole department 24/7 dealing with breast cancer, this cancer and that cancer, just in case. And we need to be like that. So it's like, okay, this sister just said, let's all just make sure that for these 5 schools, they've all got a book, or for these 5 schools, they've all sat down and had some sort of talk, maybe for the boys in that year. And I'm not saying that this should be a point at all, by the way. I genuinely think that we should all think of something, come up with something, because it should be really small, but perhaps like a talk for young boys who are going into secondary school, and you know, all the men can maybe sit down and we can organize to rent out the local, like have 5, 6, 10 schools, for example, that we know are highly populated with boys, right? And then maybe go to the community centers or go to the schools and then organize to speak to those kids who are transitioning into secondary school and have the talk with them. We know that what's going on with our families. We know that our families are not all connected. How powerful is if all these moms and all these people from broken families, these people in homes, these kids that are just like, I ain't got nobody, they can all turn up and just have a talk, know your rights, understand about self-respect, maybe just be having that access to know that, okay, these organizations are actually out there. Like, as a black boy that ain't got no one, these people are here for me. Something small that's given up. So even though I can't be a part of that as a female, I can't talk to the man on that, I can come and support, I can do the admin. It's half an hour of my time. So what I'm saying is something so small that either utilizes other people's skills, Brother Raven, as the brother said, because I think that that's important, but also just recognizing that there's other things that can be done, you know, that would just take half an hour, even if it's outside of your remit or your interest, to just support the team. We need to get in the habit of that as well.
Good speech there, sis, and you're correct. And this might even be a discussion of next week to find out how to go about doing that, or what that could be, just as a good, and it'll be good if people like were influenced by that way of thinking. So every other platform is doing a similar thing to try to how to build. Now, fam, we're going to go there because of timing, but we give thanks to Brother Match Fit and Sister Empress Kush, and to everyone, Black Betterment and Black Man to all. Thank you, fam. Ending the stream now. There you go.